Hello and welcome, everyone. I am so glad you could join us today. We are very excited about our second ever collaborative presentation with Companion Parrots Rehomed. I am Michelle Underhill with Phoenix Landing Foundation, and as if on cue,
Hi, I'm Wendy Whitesides for the Companion Parrots Rehomed.
excellent. And we're going to talk about one of our absolute favorite topics. I think Wendy and I both share a lot of excitement about enrichment and toy making and both of these topics. So I'll tell you a little bit about Phoenix Landing, and then Wendy will tell you a little bit about Companion Parrots Rehomed, and then I'll go over a little bit about the technology we're using today. So Phoenix Landing is a parrot nonprofit. We are kind of headquartered in North Carolina. We have one facility in the mountains of North Carolina, but we have foster homes and volunteers in Maryland, DC, Virginia, North Carolina, Jacksonville, Florida, and some of those neighboring areas too, like, East Tennessee and parts of West Virginia. So adoption is one of the things we do, but education is another big part of what we do. So we're kind of similar to Companion Parrots Rehomed that way, and we work pretty closely with them. So Wendy, tell us a little bit about Companion Parrots Rehomed.
Well, Companion Parrots Rehomed is located in Pineville, North Carolina. We're housed in this store, Parrot University. We have a symbiotic relationship with them. Instead of having foster homes, all our birds are located there. All our birds are quarantined in quarantine homes, and then after the 30 days, they're all on the floor. We're big on education too, as well as Phoenix Landing. We've required the 2 classes, and then always we're trying to bring you the latest and greatest info on parrot enrichment, nutrition. We go to classes, and like you have the wonderful wellness retreat every 2 years. I think we're shooting for another. You're shooting for another one next year, live, maybe. I don't know.
The way COVID is, we'll see. We'll hope.
We'll see.
Right? Yeah.
Okay, yeah, but yes, we're all in. We have pretty much the same theory and mindset about adopt, don't shop. So that's what we do.
Yes, great. And just also so you know, kind of in honor of this talk today and our organizations collaborating, there are 2 sales going on. Of course, Companion Parrots Rehomed has the physical store Parrot University, and anyone in that area, in the greater Charlotte area, stop in there because you can get 10% off of toys and perches. And the same with our Helping Parrots store online for Phoenix Landing. If you use the coupon code ENRICH, you get 10% off toys and perches. Okay, so let's go over Zoom a little bit. We're using Zoom webinar. And those of you who have been to some of our talks before know what question's coming. Yes, we've already got hello from South Africa. If you can find the chat, we can't see you. Wendy and I are the only ones on camera, but we can still be really interactive. So please find the chat, and the default is for all panelists, but please change that setting to all panelists and attendees and say hello and where you are viewing from today. So we've got Belgium, Minnesota, Romania, Phoenix, Arizona, Florida, North Carolina, Maryland, France, Vancouver, Ohio, Wisconsin, and more North Carolina, New York, Oregon, fantastic, Georgia, Florida, Illinois, excellent. Okay, we've got some folks who've adopted birds from CPR, Companion Parrots Rehomed on here, fantastic. More South Carolina, Georgia, excellent. So thank you all. You've all found that. Excellent. And we're really we really want to make this a very interactive discussion. So we'll be asking you to answer. Just again, make sure that you have it set, because I see that some people have only answered to panelists. Make sure you change it to all panelists and attendees so everyone can benefit from the input that you have, because we'll ask questions throughout. We're going to share information with each other. Always during these classes, I learned something from the attendees too. So we're not experts, we're all learning together. Okay, and then the Q&A, if you have specific questions for me or Wendy too, that you don't want to get sometimes lost in chat, you can use the Q&A for that too. We also at different times will ask for a show of hands about different things. So please, I want to see a show of hands of everyone who is here to talk about enrichment. And we ought to see all 112 hands go up. Come on. Yeah. Excellent. Great. Lots and lots of hands going up. Fantastic. Okay, so I feel good that you found that button too. Okay. Okay, great. So that's kind of how we're going to use the Zoom webinar so that we can make this as collaborative as possible here. Okay, so what I want to talk about next is just a little bit about how the agenda will go. We're going to talk a little bit about enrichment, because it always helps to define something first, right? And the types of enrichment. And then we're going to go over some easy DIY toys, which is a very fun part too, and share ideas too that maybe you all have for DIY toys as well. Okay, so this, I think, I looked at a variety of definitions of environmental enrichment, and I think that this is one of my favorites. And in part of it, one of the reasons I love this definition is it refers to environmental enrichment as being a process. It's not a static thing, right? It's no object or thing. It's a process of making changes to an animal's environment that increase their physical activity and encourages species typical behavior, which is something that we need for our birds, right? We need to allow them to have some normal wild activities, and also that will help satisfy their physical and psychological needs. Also reduces stress, and therefore it's just very important for their overall health. And you see what I underlined too. It also allows them, a perception of control over their environment and occupies their time. Don't we all want some control over our environment? Let's face it, if there is one thing that the stay-home orders that a lot of us had in different states or countries, earlier with COVID showed us that, it's very good to feel like you have enough choice and can do what you need to or want to do. Even though I know we all want to keep ourselves and loved ones safe, so people adhered to it, but it just showed us that feeling. It may have given us an insight into what it may be like to be a captive bird. So, okay, in the chat, can you guess what the #1 risk of providing environmental enrichment is for animals? This is from zoology text. What's the #1 risk? Injury, choking, injury, screaming. Yes, exactly. An animal can hurt themselves with the enrichment item. Absolutely. So I always say, and we'll talk about this a little bit more, especially Wendy will talk about this a lot, that there is nothing 100% safe for every bird. You have to know your bird, be as careful as possible. But I am absolutely convinced that there is some bird out there who will find a way to hurt themselves with a paper towel. Okay, I mean, even though it is normally very, very safe for the majority of animals on the planet, there's always going to be that exception. And if you have that exception, I'm sorry, but there's ways around it. Know your bird, find things that are safe, and know their play style, because they have they have different play styles, right? Okay, so what's the number one risk of not providing environmental enrichment? In the chat. Screaming, yeah.
Mhm.
What else? Boredom, boredom, plucking, mutilation, boredom. Yes, injury from being bored. Bingo, exactly. They can harm themselves or suffer because there's nothing to do. Wouldn't you go mad if all you could do was sit in a room and you had nothing to do all day? Yes, you know. So the benefits of enrichment far outweigh the risks. And parrots are smart. We know they're smart. Every one of us that lives with parrots knows they're smart, right? So things that we always have to keep in mind that are so easy to forget because we have this relationship with them is they are wild animals. They're not domesticated. They haven't been domesticated over generations and generations and generations the way our dogs and cats are. So they are still wild. And they need a lot of stimulation. The other thing is they absolutely need to be able to perform some natural behaviors. That's just good for their overall health and their essence. One of the things that makes them a bird, right? Their natural behaviors. And they also need a lot of times more stimulation to replace natural behaviors that we can't permit in our home. Because there certainly are things that they do in the wild that we just can't recreate or permit them to do in our homes. So what can we fill that void with? That's something we always have to think about. And that's more of what we're going to talk about today. So a lot of this came, I'll tell you about the book that I took a lot of these types of enrichment from. But the types of enrichment that we're kind of going to touch on today, because we're going to talk about toys. A lot of times when we think about enrichment, we specifically think about items, and that is very important and a big part of it. But I also want us all to collectively think about all the different kinds of enrichment, because there are some very simple things that we can do in our homes and think about the kinds of enrichment we're providing them at different points. So there's social, occupational, physical, sensory, and nutritional. And a lot of times when you're providing one, you may be providing something that they overlap. So it's more than one. And we're going to go into all of these in a little more depth. So social enrichment, there's different kinds. Some can be, having a social life, having different members of the household that they interact with. And this could be the same species, like a little flock of lovebirds here that I used to sometimes bird sit. It can also be different species. Different species could be, bird human. It could be different species of parrots that sometimes we forget, and we have breeds of dogs, but a lot of times the parrots, they're actually different species, in our homes. It could be also, another, maybe you have a rabbit in your home or something else, just, a fish that your bird also watches. So that's still some social enrichment. And it can also be, non-contact. It could be, okay, how many, I'm guilty of this. I'm going to lower all the hands. I want to see a raise of hands who at some point, maybe you're in the car and you're listening to a radio show, and later on when you're communicating, you're like, yeah, I was talking to this person. No, actually, I heard that on the radio. It's like, has anyone had that experience? It's like you're absorbed, so that's enrichment too, right? Yeah, exactly. Thank you all. Even if you're just raising your hand, so I don't feel like I'm all alone in this. Yeah. So yeah, that is also, in watching television, you get absorbed, you get to know the characters and stuff. That's enrichment too. And the other thing is, it's good to have choices, right? You like to be able to choose who you do and don't interact with, don't we all?
Very true.
Yeah. Okay, and then we'll also thinking, so this is something that I think is really interesting. And I have to admit, as a librarian for 20 years, I geek out about some of the, the stuff in the zoology text. but they talk about in putting like groups of animals together in the zoo too, that the group composition can be important. And having different ages can be beneficial to the groups in zoo. And I think it's interesting, if you've read Thinking Like a Parrot, and if you haven't, I recommend it. It's a great book. We also have the authors coming to talk in November at another Zoom talk, but they talk a lot about the social lives of wild parrots and how dynamic they are, how many different individuals they interact with in a flock, right? And it's interesting because in the zoology literature, there has been information about the hand rearing of a lot of species is really believed to suppress the development of a lot of natural interactions between members of the same species. So if you think about that from some of the birds, because a lot of us have birds, however you got them, whether you got them from a breeder or from, a nonprofit like Phoenix Landing or Wendy, Companion Parrots Rehomed, they may have been hand reared, but they may not know how to interact with other birds. Sometimes we have to kind of intervene and help shape that through training or other means, rewarding positive interactions. So training can have many roles and provide great enrichment for birds, and that is one of those social. Not only can it help us have our develop communication with our birds, but it can also help shape how they interact with even members of the same species. So, oh, this is funny. Jane says she's had to stop watching politics because her Amazon was picking up on language. Yes, yes, I know. Politics and sometimes football can bring out colorful language. Call it yelling at the screen season, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so other things about social enrichment. Again, we learned in that wild parrots can have different relationships with many individuals. So think about where you fit in your bird's social life. We don't really want to be seen as our parrot's mate. We know that can lead to undesirable behaviors, plucking, screaming, attacking other family members if they have decided that they're going to go off and raise a family with you, and everybody else has to get out of the way because it's time for hanky-panky and making babies, which is why we always, talk about in our other classes, not petting them down the back or under their wings because that's sending the wrong signal. So while we don't want to encourage that, there's other roles we can have with our birds, right? Foraging and eating together. They can be, brunch or dinner companions. There's other in the wild. They have groups that may preen, bathe, or relax together in the heat of the day. The youth will play together, and that diffuses aggression, or roost together for safety. And again, I have to say, roost together at night. Don't sleep with your bird in bed with you. That too many, that always ends in disaster at some point. Even if many, many, many times you've done it, it hasn't. We don't advocate sleeping with your birds. But that's when we talk about preening too. This was very eye-opening to me in reading Thinking Like a Parrot, also because one of the things that the researchers discuss in it is that, we always talk about how you don't want to put them down the back and under the wings, but even prolonged preening their heads, which we know is safe, usually safe. But, if it's a couple minutes, it's okay. It's a friend. If it goes on for a half hour, it's foreplay, and I guess I try to think about it in my head of, I think a lot of us have had the experience, you hug a friend, and it's a short hug, but we've all had that experience in our life where someone has hugged us and it's lingered a little too long and made us uncomfortable, right? Okay, we don't want to be that creepy hugger for our bird, right? So we just want to preen them a little bit, always, and then, more, So, okay, show of hands, who dances with their bird? Great. Is that the adoption? The macaws always seem to focus when you point the camera at them, but at the very end, I catch Skylar. Yeah, it can be social interaction even for the birds. You're seeing the other birds. There he sees Skylar dancing. So Skylar, great. Okay, fantastic. So let me go through. Okay, so let's brainstorm a little bit about social enrichment. Who might make up your bird's social life and what roles do they play? Do you have different members of your bird's social life? Let's see it in the chat. Other family pets, absolutely. Yes, Tammy, that's your Skylar. Yeah. Skylar was here at Phoenix Landing for 14 years and just recently found a home. Parrot Town TV, great. Other birds make up the social life, great. Other pets, regular visitors, exactly. Other people can. Music and videos, yes. So we've got lots of different social interaction there, absolutely. What activities do you do together? And Wendy, you can chime in here too. What activities?
Oh, we watch TV together.
Yeah, you know, go to school, read and train, listening to music and singing together, eating dinner together, fantastic. Watching the outside birds, absolutely. Laundry, basketball, I love that. I'd love to hear more about basketball. Yeah. Reiki, absolutely, that's fantastic.
Cool.
It's a lovely hands-off activity too, right? Go camping together, that's excellent. Are there new activities that you're thinking about right now, just in brainstorming here, that you would like to start doing with your bird? So what new activities would you like to incorporate?
I know I love the cage roller. I want to manufacture one and be that truly crazy bird lady that takes her birds out and pushes them in their stroller.
Fantastic. You know, Wendy, everyone needs that person in their neighborhood. Be that person. Yeah. So yeah, so people want to do more showers for the whole flock, reading. Someone just got a shower. Someone just shower perch. Someone just got a backpack cage. That's fantastic. Lori, glad you're that person for your neighborhood. Excellent.
Yay.
Yeah. Okay, excellent. Yes, so somebody else wants a birdie backpack. Excellent. Yeah, and so think about what items your birds can interact with too. And we'll kind of go into other kinds with that more and other kinds of enrichment too. Their bird loves the vacuum noise. That's great. Okay. So occupational enrichment, that is giving our birds jobs, right? If we have to work 8 hours a day or more, they need to too, right?
Absolutely.
Got to keep them busy and engaged. So you can give them different kinds of occupational enrichment too. Part of that is, psychological things to think about mentally. Another is exercise, so things to do physically. And we all need remodeling projects, right? So, and when you think about it too, we need things to keep us mentally stimulated. So do our birds. We need exercise. We need to sometimes get up from our desk and take a walk. So do the birds.
Mm-hmm.
They need to get up and relieve some, physical movement. And sometimes we just need to move the sofa. Sometimes our birds need to remodel things too. We just want to give them things that we want them to remodel, not, our actual sofa,
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so some of the occupational enrichment, you can I always recommend giving them things in a variety of levels, right? You want to give them things that are a stretch, that present a little bit of a challenge. There's a lot of like toys that they have to kind of figure out there on the market now. But it's good to have things that are easy too, because let's face it, I always like to say, just because you have a master's degree doesn't mean you maybe always want to read peer review journals. Sometimes you just want to read that romance novel, or you want to veg out and watch a sitcom, right? Or a game on TV. So give them different levels. There are days when we all need a win, right? And we'll talk about foraging too as a part of nutritional enrichment as well. But training is a great way to this. It provides social enrichment as well as occupational enrichment too. It gives them something to think about. And coming up with games. What games do you play with your birds?
Peekaboo is a great game to play with them. Just,
cool.
You know.
Who else plays peekaboo? Let's see a show of hands on that. Excellent. Fantastic. Lots of peekaboo players.
Lots of peekaboo.
Yeah.
Yeah. As long as you don't startle them. I don't like that. It's like, oh yeah, but yeah, peekaboo is great.
Excellent. So yeah, and of course, with occupational enrichment, training can be it too. And of course, with a training session, if you're doing a formal training session, the bird chooses to participate or not. It can be as little as 10 minutes a day. It's also the opportunity to learn and earn rewards. But have to say, birds are always learning. So whether we're doing a formal training session with them or not, they're still learning. Sometimes they're training us, right? So I love this. We've also got someone who, Bobby plays catch with stuffed baby toys. If you're looking for more, someone is, does vocal games back and forth. Someone else is teaching their birds new words, vocabulary words, which is a great segue to our next little slide, which is, Jen Kuna of My Reading Pets has some great webinars and resources on her website to help teach birds vocabulary words and ways to communicate preferences, and talk about what a great way to combine both training and providing our birds choices, right?
Yes.
So yes, someone else is also teaching their bird yes and no with red and green rings. We've got some folks who are doing free flight training. Wow. I know that is something that is wonderful if you can do. We recommend, of course, working with a professional training and really making sure that you're at a very experienced level with training in that. But absolutely great exercise. Someone does scales with their birds. That's fantastic. You can also teach your bird colors and to read. And all of this builds on target training, which is, teaching them to touch a target stick. So more occupational enrichment that we'll go over. Of course, there's foraging, which is also nutritional enrichment, chewing, shredding, giving them things to do, exercise, and some of the ways to kind of more easily provide occupational enrichment and exercise is think about, like, do some of the items that they have available, does it move? If you think about having, a lot of people will use the balance balls, like when they're working on the computer, because while you're sitting, you're having to adjust a little bit adjust your core on a balance ball. It's the same thing for some of these swings and stuff that move. It's making them adjust a little bit. It can be a little bit of exercise in doing that. And yeah, so allowing flight in your house and having lots of places to go and things to do in your home and is an absolutely wonderful way to provide some exercise and enrichment. And it provides choice for them too, right? They can fly to different areas and do different projects in those areas. And there's nothing better for their cardiovascular systems than flight.
But yeah, stairs are really good too. If your bird isn't flighted, there's a couple that like for target training inside the cage, you can move them around the cage just through target training, but also doing flights of stairs if they're not flighted. It's a really good cardiovascular activity for them also.
Great. Wow. And someone has a great goal to get cages for all of their birds that they can fly in. That's wonderful. Yes. Yes. Cargo nets. Yes. The nets that are called cargo nets, but are made for birds, so are made of bird safe material and everything, are great for them in that kind of thing. Yeah. So someone has says that they let their bird chew on some books, and Wendy actually has a great toy later that she will show you that she makes from old books. So we want other, hanging toys that allow movement. These can be swings or what they call boings or bungees, which are like what this Amazon is on. Climbing nets, hanging gyms, hanging toys. A tip that I really like to do is I like hanging two hanging toys beside each other, because then the birds have to kind of move and balance to go back and forth between them, right? That requires a little bit more exercise and dexterity. Somebody's bird likes cardboard. That's, yes, good shreddable fun. Yeah. And another thing, yes, and John had mentioned climbing nets before. I love that they can be used to connect different play areas, and it also helps provide choice, especially if you have a bird that isn't flighted or isn't confident, flying. It still encourages movement. Okay, more occupational enrichment, and something that I am currently obsessed with is allowing them more environmental control. Does anyone, I want to see a show of hands of how many birds use Alexa or Google Home. How many of your birds interact with Alexa or Google Home? We've got a few. Yeah, so we've got a few. That's great. And I know, kind of in order to do that, they have to be talkers, right? Not everybody has a bird that is a talker, and not everyone lives where there's good internet, So I think, if you can have Alexa and Google and have or Google Home and have your birds interact with that. Disable ordering. Yes, we've all seen the stories. Disable ordering, just as if you had a toddler in your house. But you can also do things like there are some outlet controls that you can get that are motion sensors, and that's probably a really easy way. You can have the motion sensor outside the cage so the bird can't destroy it. But I have used painter's tape because to kind of narrow the sight line of the eye, because if you have those motion sensors in your home, you know that you can be almost anywhere in an area and it will trigger the thing to come on. But just narrow it so a bird has to be in a certain spot so that they can, go to that place and turn on a light, or go to a place and the radio comes on, and you can set the time for how long the thing will stay on. It could be, an hour, it could be 2 minutes. I recommend starting with a shorter time period so that they get used to, oh, I really did that. It's not just a random thing happening, coincidentally. But you can also, there are some outlet plugs, plug-in outlets that have these kind of remote, like they're designed to be hung on the wall, but it's an on-off switch essentially for an outlet that you can teach the bird, usually using target training, to touch the switch. And then what I have done is use stainless steel hardware to attach it to the cage. I know that there are birds that will figure out a way to destroy this. So this is, again, one of those things that you have to know your birds and know their ability. don't know that I would put this in any of the cockatoo cages at the adoption center. But with my Pyonis and Pachycephалus, it's fine, you know. So know your birds. But, you know, what better way? How would we feel if we couldn't even turn on a light? You know, you can teach that and give them that kind of control over their environment. You know, it's a wonderful thing to do, right?
Yeah, I want to try that. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. So I'm not sure. Someone had a question about the light pointing. There is food and water. This is on the outside. This is the motion sensor. So the bird goes to a spot and the light comes on and it stays on for a few minutes and then it turns off. Okay, great. So, and let me see if I can do a new share. And have you seen Petra on YouTube? I'm gonna turn this and then see if I can do a new share to share.
Alexa, what time?
Okay, so
It's 10:46 p.m.
Alexa, all lights off.
Okay.
I like a 9. I love you, bye. Alexa, all lights off.
Okay.
Alexa, all lights off.
Sorry, I didn't find a device named All Lights Bird.
Alexa, all lights off. I like a 9. Alexa, tell me about Alexa.
Alexa is a female form of Alexander, and is sometimes also a short form of Alexandra, both of which come from the Greek, Alexandros, which can be translated as defender of man. As for me, I'm named for the Library of Alexandria, which stored the knowledge of the ancient world.
Okay, let me go back to sharing. Pretty cool though, huh? Just to
Very cool.
potentials. If you have a great, if you have a bird that can talk and interact like that. Okay, great. So what projects do you give your birds? We talked a little bit about that. Go ahead and share it in the chat.
Such as projects, you mean as far as something to work on, correct?
Something to work on.
Something
Yeah.
to work on. Well, right now it's pumpkin season, so you can start adding, getting the smaller pumpkins, put them on a skewer kebab, and that'll be a project that'll last probably the whole day for these guys. It'll be messy, yes, but
Unshreddable project, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone has a music box with moving elements next to the cage. They watch it and love it. That's great. Someone puts a pistachio inside condiment cups. That's right, with a lid that they have to get out. Puzzle toys. Those are great projects. Shreddables. That's also a great project. Absolutely. Foraging 101. Teaching their birds to remove bok choy leaves to find pellets underneath. That is awesome. That's a great idea. Excellent. So paper towel rolls, foraging balls, Oh, no, no. Breaking my laptop keyboard. No, no. Yeah, that does seem to be a bird favorite, but yes. Broccoli, yeah. Okay, great. So what exercise? How many here, what kinds of things do your birds do for exercise? Could be flight, could be climbing. We know some birds run up the stairs. Walkabouts, great.
Inside recall training.
Dancing, yes. Inside recall training, fantastic. Flipping around the perch, flying, yes. Climbing up the stairs, excellent. Dancing, more dancing. Yeah, great. That's great. Good exercise. Okay, and just remember, we want to give them different. Flying to the rocking chair and back, excellent. Yeah, excellent. Okay, we've got some good things. Skateboard, yeah. Lots of walking, that's excellent too. Okay. So, okay, just a little bit, what they call physical enrichment is essentially the physical items around them. So, could be their enclosure, which is the cage or the house. The accessories, both internal and external, toys, perches, that kind of thing, play gyms. It's what's around them. Now, this is the fun part too, that I think we can really think about different things to enrich our birds, and that is things to appeal to their senses, different things to look at, different things to hear, taste, touch. And of course, a couple of people had mentioned backpacks. That's a great way. It can be going outside is a great way to get more stimulation, right? It could be in an aviary. It could be in a travel cage. It could be in a cage that is on a stroller. It could be in a backpack. The music, the radio, the television, even moving to different rooms in the house, right? We wouldn't want to all be in the same room all the time. So field trips inside, field trips outside, having verbal games and contact calls. Who has a contact call with their bird? Yeah, lots of people have a contact call. That's a great thing to do with a bird, right? So contact call, we recommend everyone have a contact call with their bird. It can actually be a great way to deter screaming too. If you think about it, in the wild, they call to members of their flock. And it makes sense. We sometimes will call to members of our family, right? So if I were in the same house with Wendy and I said, Wendy, and she didn't answer, what do you think I might do?
You would talk louder. You call
Yeah, let's say my hands are, I'm making chop and I can't leave the kitchen because I've got all this stuff. I would say louder, right?
Right.
And if Wendy didn't answer, what would I do? I would get louder, So if you have a little contact call and always respond to that contact call with your bird, it can sometimes dissuade if they're calling, for attention, for your attention. You don't want them to get to that point where they're screaming for you. You want to just respond to a little whistle, or a song, or, it could be a tap, could be a whisper, whatever works for you. And it also, what is another reason why having a contact call is important? Yeah.
I know. In case they fly away.
Yes, in case they get lost. Exactly. Yeah. Lori hit it. Yes. So if they got lost, if they get loose, there have been definitely instances in which people have gotten their birds back because they responded to that contact call. You can find them. You can identify where they are. So it's very helpful for that too in an emergency situation. So excellent. Okay. So which senses are likely engaged in this picture?
That's cool.
So which senses do you think? If you could picture yourself, sight and sound, absolutely. Touch, sight, sound, sensory, all of them. Yeah, it engages, exactly. There might be a breeze, a different feeling, lots of things to look at, different smells. Yeah, lots of senses. Okay, and if you don't have an aviary, you can take them outside in, travel cages too. And I know someone had mentioned harnesses as well. And yes, you can take them outside in harnesses also. I know not all of us get to that point in our training with our birds where they can get in and out of a harness successfully. And of course, you still have to be on the lookout for predators when you're out there. But yes, that's definitely. But I'm on the lookout for predators even when my crew is out in travel cages. So.
Oh, absolutely. I have my crew out, for about a half hour, and red-tailed hawks for right in the pine trees. So.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just good to bring them in. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But so what I like to think about too is perches, and thinking about having that variety of perches for our birds too, right? So I like to give this set of tips of 4, 3, 2, 1. You want 4 different diameters, right? Really different diameters. And it's funny how it took me going to see them in the wild on one of the Phoenix Landing eco tours before it really hit me. Oh my gosh, yes, different diameters. When you see hyacinths on branches that we would put in a finch's cage. We wouldn't think about it for a a hyacinth. So 4 different diameters, 3 different materials. It could be different kinds of wood, with or without bark, different textures. It depends on what is safe for your bird. It's nice to have a nice soft perch, whether it is the cholla wood that is also fun to shred, that cactus wood, or cotton, perches. I know there are people that I realize you can't use cotton perches because you're worried about them ingesting it, but a lot of birds do fine on cotton rope perches. 2 different action perches. So that's 2 different either swings or boings or ladders, and at least 1 flat perch. And if you cannot fit all this in your cage is too small. But I mean, think about it. Having all these different kinds of perches in a cage, what senses might it appeal to? So yes, someone said the feet would be touch, the tongue. So here's something fascinating that we learned too, right? The tongue for a bird, and try to picture, goes to show how different they are than us, is really about touch. It's more tactile. Their taste buds are kind of in the back of their mouth and on their roof, but the tongue is really for texture. So think about that with food too. Doesn't that open things up? Like give you some ideas about how to try things different ways? So yes, somebody says it can also be, they can chew the perch too. And yes, it's good for their health. It stops bumblefoot if you have all that variety. All of these are great. So excellent. And more sensory enrichment. Part of sensory enrichment, I like to add, is also providing a sense of privacy. Because we like to have lots of stimulation, but giving them that choice where they can also kind of limit what they're exposed to, right? And also control whether or not they can be seen, right? So you can have large toys like seagrass mats provide privacy. In the middle here, you see this is actually a platform perch that is hung sideways that a bird can go behind. This over here you see is actually newspaper hung, on the side of the cage. What I like about that is they can tear it down themselves. So there's just different things that you can do, but very, very important for a prey animal to be able to have that sense of control and have a place to go if they want to, but provide choice. John, that's a good question about, does it encourage nesting? And I think it depends on just how enclosed it is, and knowing your bird, right? you want to make sure that it's something they have a choice, but it can still be a relatively open space. Like this, she can go behind, but she's got the whole cage over there. And this is just one side of the cage that they can go behind, or a big toy. It could be a big toy hanging in the cage too that they can go behind. But definitely, yes, you would monitor that to make sure that it isn't encouraging the nesting behavior in a bird. Okay, great. Someone, said yes, their cockatiels love their flat perch. Yeah. Okay, more sensory enrichment. It can be variety in food, and I realize I'm going to try to speed it up a little bit so we can have plenty of time for Wendy's DIY toys. So food, it could be plants and perches. Of course, with smell, we always have to keep in mind their sensitive respiratory systems, and just use natural materials, not the artificial plugins and that kind of thing. But sometimes just dried chamomile. I use cardamom in the pod, sometimes that I give, which I imagine the house smells good when the birds are chewing on them too, So exactly. And so if you can't tell what's in this picture, there's a couple of plastic discs that are floating in a water dish. What senses might this appeal to? Sight, absolutely. That's one, absolutely. Touch, yes. Yes. Texture, yes. Some movement, absolutely. Some sound, absolutely. I remember we had a bird come into the adoption center, and one of his favorite things to do was to take a plastic thing and dip it in his water dish. He would just do that. It was a fun game, So yes, lots of different senses. So think about what you can add to add variety or novelty in all of these things, to add new sights, sounds, textures. And these are really cheap things that you can just incorporate into your birds, or add variety in your bird's life, right? What are some ways that you can switch these things up for your bird? Any ideas you want to share in chat? Could be change the radio station, Yeah, have musical toys, have a TV playing. Absolutely. Rotate items in the cage, yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, other noisemakers. There's a variety of, baby keys and stuff that can jingle. Yeah, add more spices. Noise, yes. Don't we all, a lot of birds like noise, Natural perching materials, absolutely. Safe branches from outdoors, playing birds on YouTube for them, yes.
Yeah, the natural sounds.
Yeah. These are all great tips. So we'll just go through a little bit again. Nutritional enrichment, variety, right? You can deliver them different ways. Just because they don't like it one way, don't like it. Aren't, diving into it one way the first time, keep trying. Maybe the next time they see it, or the next 5 times they see it, they may. Or try it a different way. Try it dehydrated, try it sprouted. Knowing that texture is a big part of it. Maybe just, giving them the whole pumpkin on a skewer, as Wendy said. So, and of course, if you haven't seen the captive foraging video, it's highly recommended. And think about, seeing the whole cage as a closed foraging tree. You can add lots and lots of foraging opportunities all around them, inside and outside the cage. So some of my favorite easy and inexpensive foraging toys, 3-ounce unwaxed Dixie cups. I love it because you can put something in it, you can hang it all over the cage. If you have 1 inch or smaller bar spacing, you can just twist it, hang it everywhere, or you can put it in a bowl, anything. The unbleached coffee filters or paper towels, sometimes pre-drilled toy parts, you can put little food pieces or something in there too. So, and then once, of course, they're used to working, step it up, make it a little bit harder, make them have to work to get to where the foraging toys are. Yes, take out drink holders. That's another one that I like a lot. Yeah. And I just love this environment for inspiration, right? You've got so many textures and you've got food hanging different ways. I mean, I would want to be a bird in this environment to go, it's like the land of plenty that you can go. You see cucumbers and, different peas and greens and baskets to shred. So yes. Okay, and then simple foraging toys, again, it can just be a plate or something that you put stuff in. Plants, and I know some people are worried about the dirt. You can always put beads on top of it. There are plant containers that you can water from the bottom. It takes a little while for the plants to get established, but sometimes birds like playing in dirt, and it's whatever your comfort level is. We, of course, always use organic soil if we are giving the birds access to the dirt. But some ground foragers too, and as someone said, of course, you've got to make sure it's not nesty. But, a lot of the ground foragers, the Pachycephалus, the cockatoos, like having a box to sort through. And I like to use right here, this is, a plastic cube, no metal at all. And it just, again, of course, depends on if your bird will chew plastic, or as long as they won't ingest it. But the idea of this is it provides a flat surface up there if they want to play up there, but it's not so enclosed like a big nest box. But you can put toy parts and everything for them to dig around in and scratch around in to forage, put little treats and stuff in there. And what I like about this is because it's got a roof, if they're up here too in the cage, the poop doesn't go in the foraging box. So yeah, so again, always try to find more ways to add variety of foods, presentation of foods, how we prepare foods, and foraging activities. Okay, this is just a quick reminder. We want to give them places to sleep and rest, forage, eat and drink, exercise, perform those natural behaviors: sleeping, resting, foraging, eating, drinking, exercising, including, flying, to bathe, to preen, to socialize, but also have that place to escape to. You don't have to do everything every day. That's all this slide is about. Maybe, okay, Mondays and Thursdays, I'm going to change the music. Maybe Tuesdays and Fridays, I'm going to try a different herb. But, just think each day, think one little thing that you're going to change that day to add a little variety.
Yeah, I love this slide because it's very, very purposeful.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, and then I will stop sharing and the screen, and Wendy is going to take it away for the next part.
All right, let me get mine up here. Oh, I thought here we are. All right. Okay, so we've talked a lot about enrichment, but also we need to talk about safety. And so my portion of this presentation is to supply you some things, some information about what is deemed safe. Again, nothing is 100% safe for all our birds. You might have that 0.2%, like Michelle said, that will eat the paper towel and you'll have a crop infection. So we're just going to start with. Okay, here's my. There we go. Okay, types of rope. These are things to string upon. I'm having problems with my mouse here. Whoops, sorry about that. There we go. Okay, this is poly rope. Poly rope is manufactured, or it's also called poly. This is manufactured just for the bird industry. You can get it from bird stores. It's a polyethylene rope. This is coconut rope. Again, it's a natural fiber, natural texture. And then we have our 100% cotton rope. Again, with any woven type of ropes, you need to watch for fraying to where you have to trim them up to make sure that they don't get, what is going on here? I'm having technical difficulties.
Zoom
There's my-
snafus.
There we go. Okay, and then we have the spinning hemp rope. Yes, I love hemp. I love jute. These are very, very strong natural fibers. And they hold up well. A lot of times they come in different diameters, but you can, even if you get the smaller ones, they're good for about 14, 15 pounds of pressure that they can hold up. And this is seagrass, another natural, smelling fiber. And this is a manila rope. Manila rope is from the banana plant family. And again, we have our sisal, which all these are very good to use. And then our favorite one, here's paper. These paper ropes, I like them because you can use them for stringing, and also you can hide treats in them. As far as it's a great foraging stringing apparatus. With any your hemp, your jute, your seagrass, make sure they're untreated. Let your nose be your guide whenever you're purchasing these things. Sometimes you can find them in places like alleys and that, but you have to really smell them. I went, I'll rip open the containers at the store, put my snaz in there, and if there's a hint of oil or whatever, it's not safe for these guys. So then we have other safe stringing materials. Our plastic chains are great for making lots of toys, and also to hang from our ceilings and that. This is galvanized, or excuse me, stainless steel or nickel plated chain. This is safe. Every bird owner should at least have 1, 2, or as many kebabs as you can. I have 2 per bird, so I always have 1 in the cage, 1 in the dishwasher. Can be used for food. It can be used for toys. I mean, they're indispensable.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things. I don't think, as someone who is not crafty at all, I think those stainless steel skewers for birds or kebabs, you can never have enough. It's like a black dress, right? You can never have too many,
Exactly.
never have enough.
Yeah, it's really easy. In fact, I'll show you a couple things I've done with them when I get there. It's so easy to put a toy together with that. Let's see, here we have stainless steel wire. This is a smaller diameter. You can also get stainless steel rods, which I've used recently at some metal shops. Vegetable, tanned or untanned leather is great. A lot of birds, you can just knot the stuff up, make knots in them, and just make a little spider of just knots of leather, and they'll sit there, and like your cockatoos, your grays, they love to undo knots. Zip ties. Zip ties are very useful for constructing toys and also attaching toys to cages. And I've made a couple with zip ties. Again, you may have the bird that will break it and could eat it, but again, you have to know your birds.
Yeah, and someone had a great tip that, yes, you can reload stainless steel chain that you've had on another toy. Absolutely. You can, reuse those safe materials from other toys that you've used that your bird has already destroyed everything off of the chain.
Absolutely.
Again and
yes, and we never, ever, ever, ever throw any toys out. Toy pieces, because another item which we probably should have put in here was the baffle cage. which is just a cage that you load up with all sorts of things. Can be used for food or toy parts, pieces. But yes, never throw anything away. Okay, these things are unsafe. Here we have curling ribbon. That's an entrapment issue. And also whatever dyes they use to construct this. Here we have galvanized wire that's toxic. And our woven cotton rope, this is another entrapment issue. And with the way this is constructed, if they get their toe or their beak caught in there and then they start to struggle even more, it pulls. So they really get stuck in there. So we don't want to use, where's my mouse again? It's hiding, there we go. Okay, and clothesline, it's the same thing, it's woven. Birds can get stuck in there. This is galvanized chain. Again, this is a toxicity issue. Shoelaces. I've seen a lot of people use shoelaces. I don't personally like them because number one, they're dyed. Number two, they're a woven product, which can be an entrapment issue. Here we have the multi ply wire, which is like your hanging your wire that you use to hang pictures with. This is a woven wire too, and it's most likely probably galvanized. So that's not good for us, for our parrots. Pipe cleaners, the metal that they're woven on is toxic. Food skewers, we would think, oh, they'll be great. They probably could be, except for this very sharp, pointy tip on the end. And plus, a lot of them are plated. And so we're not 100% sure about the food skewers, but again, the stainless steel kebabs, use them instead. Or if you want to use a food skewer, you can use the bamboo, which are really good. This is what we call non-welded or jack chain. These are not, they're just bent together. They're not they don't have that weld on it. And your bird can get its beak or toes caught in there. I've seen this on a lot of toys that are purchased where they're not on welded wire. So even if you're purchasing toys, make sure that the chains are completely welded. And then this is solid core poly rope. This is a nylon petroleum-based product here that is not safe. And then we have our yarn, which is another entrapment issue or problem. Okay, so let me take a drink here. So we've got, there's more to toy making other than just stringing things. But when we look at things too, a lot of times we're thinking that we can string them vertically, but also if you put rings on the ends, you can make them hang them up side by side, which is another way of looking at giving them things to do. Okay, our paper products. Any paper plates, cups that are non-waxed or uncoated, your napkins. In fact, I've made a little toy using napkins, which is pretty interesting. This is the first one I've made. And also plastic silverware. I'm not a big proponent of plastic, but if you do use it, get the baby silverware because it's thicker, and anything in baby silverware is made to be chewed on. So it's pretty durable and it should hold up. Plastic or paper straws, great to add to all our toys. This is wooden spoons and spatulas. You can get them from the Dollar Tree. They're made of bamboo. And plus $1, you can't beat that either. And also what's cool with these is you can sort of make them into people or I mean, there's a toy I've just recently seen. It's a Dracula toy where they've used the Dracula sippy cup as the head, and then they've added all these wooden pieces to it. And so, I mean, toy making is what's left to your imagination. Paper bags. I tell you, if you're in a rut, leaving the house, bird doesn't have a project to do, you grab a paper bag, you throw some shred in there, throw a couple treats in there, maybe a wooden block, have a thing of loofah hanging out, you can throw that in there too, and then you can clip it to the cage, and then your bird's got something to do while you're doing your errand or at work. Here we have stainless steel measuring cups and spoons. You can make your own jangle toys. A lot of birds they love their bells, they love their noises. You can make your own here with these things. You can also use the plastic version. Again, choose the thicker ones. They hold up better, and I would say the plastic, this would be fine for well, again, you have to know your bird. But usually your Amazons and grays, they'll hold up better. Your macaws and cockatoos will tear those up in a heartbeat. Baskets. I love baskets. And as was in the previous slide, the hanging all the baskets up in the ceiling is wonderful. Also, a basket can also be a play gym, a mobile play gym, where if you're going to your office, which is up, and you don't have a play gym, you can turn this basket into, you put some papers in the bottom, some shred, put a couple toys in there. You can grab your bird, grab your basket, set it down on your desk away from the cage. The handle becomes the perch. All the items in the bottom are the play toys, and of course they're going to chew the basket, so that's more chewing and enrichment for them too. But I just love baskets. And then here are wicker paper plates. There's a paper plate holders. There's a lot of things you can do with this item. You can make busy mats. I've seen their side where the side of them has toys up on it, and then there's also a perch in the middle of it. So for like your cockatiels, your parakeets, it can be a standalone busy mat with a perch in it. But these are just wonderful.
And add privacy too. I like that. And we had Anna said that those like paper bags, putting toy parts in it is a great, easy bird toy. That is a fabulous idea. Someone also said that a lot of the plastic beads that they get salvaged from old toys, they just wash them in the dishwasher. That's a great idea too. Great idea.
Absolutely, yes. Nothing is ever thrown out. Everything recycle, reuse. So we're trying to keep everything green, and also it's great on your pocketbook too. Yeah. Egg cartons. I saw a comment about egg cartons that these are completely safe. Okay, if there is a spot in the egg carton where your egg has broke, you just want to cut that out, and you can use the rest of it. This slide, let's see. Yeah, this is my cardboard slide.
So my husband works with public health nurses, and he got a great tip. If you want to use egg cartons that have had eggs in it, you just want to make sure that you take the eggs out, that you wash your hands after you've cracked them before you touch the egg carton again to put it back, to try to avoid the salmonella. You can also get big packs of them pretty cheaply that have never been used too. So if there's a concern of salmonella or something, you can always get them that just haven't had eggs in them before too, pretty cheaply.
That's true. Yeah, Amazon is your friend. They will deliver. But yeah, egg cartons are great. Again, with the cardboard, all cardboard is safe. Because this is a global industry, a global recycling industry, that we're saving our trees, and so they're cutting down fewer trees by recycling office products. But basically, your cardboard's manufactured from pine. It's ground up pine, and it's formed into a slurry, and it looks like oatmeal. And what they do for that first layer of cardboard is just poured out into a roller, not a roller, but a small layer. And then when they start to make the different layers of cardboard, that's where they start to use some glue. And what was the problem, or what was perceived to be the problem, was that the glue had zinc in it. And that is a rumor. What they use to manufacture cardboard is starch-based glue. So they use potato starch, tapioca, wheat starch. It's all safe. And there was about paper towel rolls. They're completely safe. Your toilet paper rolls, on the other hand, we need to think, where are we using the toilet paper rolls? In the bathroom. And what's in the bathroom? E. coli. So I don't use paper or toilet paper rolls from the bathroom. They just go into the recycling bin. But everything else is good.
Now, when we're not in the middle of a pandemic where there's a toilet paper shortage, though, a whole roll of toilet paper is a great, cheap, fun toy. That has
Absolutely. I was gonna say that too. Yeah, because I have a gray who he would get his roll of toilet paper every week, and I put it on his round ring, and he'd love it. But since the pandemic, we had to cut back on the toilet paper a little bit. But now, since we're good again, he gets his toilet paper. Okay, where's my mouse? There it is. Okay, so we have our cardboard boxes. What you want to do is peel off the tape on them and just cut them up. You don't want to use them if they have any glossy photos, pictures on them. Your Amazon boxes are great. And, make sure that they're not really dirty, because that's not good for our birds either. Then you can buy just different kinds of cardboard. They're corrugated cardboard. You have single layers, double layers, triple layers, and then they have the honeycomb cardboard, which looks like a beehive. That's how that looks, and our birds like that a lot. And of course, our paper towel rolls. Always, if you go through the drive-thru, ask for a drink container, because there's so many uses for these. You can feed out of them, you can cut them up and make different types of toys with them too. Any food grade boxes are great. I wouldn't use well, you could take a cereal box and cut it down and make it into smaller boxes, and you can hide things in them and then weave them into the cage, or take it apart and weave the cardboard right into the cage bars. There, you're giving them a privacy screen and also a chewing toy. So, here's my box. There we go. Peat pots are great, and especially you can get, like, when it's gardening season and that, they're on sale all over. These can be for foraging. You can feed out of those. You can let me bring up these cards. Unwaxed playing cards. You can use the top of the cards onto the top of a peat pot and make a little container for them and hide things in them too. Puzzle pieces. I've got a toy I'll show you. It's sort of in the it's not quite finished, but I've done some toys with puzzle pieces. I like to get the ones that are made in the USA, but I've done the research, and the ones from China are okay because they, you know, again, we have global regulations that they have to pass to be approved to be sold in the US. So you can use coffee filters. There are so many uses for coffee filters and cupcake liners. Again, make sure they're paper and not the foil ones as far as the cupcake liners go. Again, you can use the coffee filters. You can make flowers with. You can make a poof, which I've made, and I'll show you. You can hide food in them and hang them around your cages. I mean, it's just whatever is. Oh, wow. Okay, there we go. Even more safe household items. Well, I need to go back to that slide. Okay, Michelle.
Snafu. But while you're checking your maybe the arrow keys will work for you. You know, someone had a question, and I think it'll probably be addressed in something else that you're going to talk about. But you know, the inks that are on the cereal box. Someone had a question about.
Oh, all the ink for anything that is on food. Actually, it's all ink in general is now done with soy ink, because people get really hungry and they forget to open the boxes and take. And so, you know, they have to make sure that they CYA, and so that's why it's all soy ink. And actually, it's better for us, better for the environment too. All right, yeah. So more household items, you're adding machine tape. This is a super easy shreddable toy. You just put it on a piece of rawhide. You can either hang it this way or on a circle to where they can, same with the toilet paper, where they can have access to it, and they will redecorate their cage and shred it up. I've also put it in baffle cages too, where I put it on a spindle, and then I fill up the baffle cage with it. Wooden clothespins, you can also use the ones with the clips, but you have to take the clip off. So it's just another piece of different kinds of wood. Tongue depressors, obviously, if they're going to put it in your mouth, it needs to be safe. It is safe for us or for them. Popsicle sticks, you want to make sure that you use the kind that is dyed and not painted. And you can tell that because with a dyed popsicle stick, you can see the wood grain underneath it. Your paperback books, anything that was published after 1950, and that has to do with the ink, because the old ink was lead-based, and here this is soy-based. Loofahs grow in North Carolina and below. They are a gourd, and actually they're a vegetable. Some people eat loofahs. They're on the same texture as okra, which okra can be really slimy, and so I personally don't. The only okra I eat is fried, but the loofahs, some people eat them, but I love them because they grow here. You don't have to you can grow your own, or you can pick them up at Hispanic grocery stores. They use them to wash their dishes with. So they're just a great enrichment toy. You can hide a lot of things in them too. Natural corks. You can buy them from Amazon or wherever, or you can save them if you're a wine connoisseur. You want to make sure that you don't use the synthetic cork. Also, it might not be a bad idea to slice off both ends, because there has been people, the foil on the wine bottle could contain some toxic metal. So any possible of any not leakage where the metal might go into the cork. So to be safe, you can just slice them off on both ends. Again, you can boil these for 10 minutes, and that makes them to where you can drill a hole in them. So corks can be used for a lot of things. It's a quick foot toy too. Pine cones. It's fall, people, so the pine cones are should be ready soon, and you want to get them when they're fresh, and if they haven't been sitting around for a while, you know, not on the ground for a long period of time. You will need to bake these at 200 degrees for about 2 hours in the oven. You can put them on a cookie sheet or in a roasting pan, put some parchment paper underneath so that it will absorb any bugs that any bugs that could be in there, and also any of the sap that will fall off of them. Once the 2 hours goes off, just turn your oven off and leave them there overnight. And then in the morning, you can pull them out, and if there's still some sticky sap on there, those are the ones you want to throw away. Pine cones also have little pine seeds or pine nuts in them that are a real treat for our birds. They love the texture. My one gray, he will demolish these things. Also, it's a great foraging toy. You can just add a whole bunch of items in there. You can stuff them with cupcake liners and things. Phone books. Phone books we slice with a bandsaw, hang them in the cage. You can hang them through the bars. You can turn them into toys, something which I'll show you that I've done with the paperback. But every bird at CPR has a phone book. This is a great shredding toy. And also your corn wrappers, think finger traps, only cheaper, okay? Because you can just stuff them with shred and then put them on skewers and the like. Okay. Oh, come on. There we go. Technical difficult, really? There we go. Okay, so even more safe household. This is my part on plastics. Again, you need to know your bird. Nothing's 100% safe, and especially the man-made items, because they're all petroleum based. But your baby toys are great. They have a lot of great colors, jingle jangles. The beads here in there are pretty good. But again, you need to know your bird and to see if they'll be good with it. Bottle cap tops or bottle caps. You can. We had an African gray in the store. All he would do is play with the plastic. So I made him a little bottle top man, and in fact, I made one for him to go to his new home with. So, but again, they can be used as spacers. So a lot of birds like to chew them up. They can be made into foot toys, things like that. These are plastic checker pieces. Wiffle balls. Wiffle balls are a great base I use them as a base, use it as a base when I'm constructing other toys with it. And again, it's a good shoe toy. And you can string things on. There's your wiffle ball and your golf ball, depending on the size of your bird. You can use a golf ball for your cockatiels and lovebirds and parakeets because they're smaller. And your pill sorter, that's a great, please remove the pills as we see in this picture. But you can, hide things in there. This could be a great test for them too. Just put like dummy pieces of, words escape me now, cupcake liners, twist them up in there and only put a treat in one of them, and then they have to work their way through it to find the one with the treat. And then plastic drink bottles. Again, these are, you have to clean them really good, peel the labels off. This can be a rattle toy for them too, if they're not going to chew up the plastic and eat it. But you can put some bigger beads in there, and it can be just a rattle toy for them. Okay. And I'm going to switch to my phone, and I've got to rearrange this table, so I'm going to turn it back over to you. Let me stop sharing here. Okay.
Yeah, so we're just going to talk a little bit about, the resources and credits real quick, because there's lots of fabulous resources online, and I'm sure actually you all have some as well that you'd like to share, that places you like to go to find. And actually I'm going to take Wendy off video because she is she trying to switch screens so that she can better show you some of the incredible toys that she has made that are easy to do. So some of the resources, they're like on Facebook, there's the Parrots Workshop, the Parrots Pantry, Avian Raw Food, Nutrition, but also the Busy Beak Builders DIY toys. So those are great places to go for inspiration on making bird toys. Of course, Chris Porter's website, parrotenrichment.com, is another great one. Yes, I'll send out the links. And there's other articles on avian enrichment. But I'm also curious what resources you all go to and use for inspiration. If you could share that in the chat. YouTube, yeah, there's some, definitely. The Parrots at Home that Lefebvre does, absolutely. Yeah, Make Your Own Bird Toys is another great site. They sell toy parts too. You can get good inspiration. So, excellent. Yeah, other places like Reddit, you can probably, yeah, it's a good source for cute pictures of birds. Yeah. Yes, so other bird owners, absolutely. There's some great resources out there. I'm gonna see if I can copy and paste some of these into the chat for you as well.
Chris Porter, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Wendy is getting her phone set up, and we get to get a little dizzy watching her.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to stop your video briefly until you have that set up.
Okay, yeah, stop me. Thank you.
So it's good enrichment for us too, right? In sorting out the technical changes of switching cameras in the middle of a presentation so that she can show you what to do. So yeah, so someone also had a question, Wendy, about magazines. Have you used magazines in bird toys?
I do not, because of the glossiness. That's not where am I here? I'm lost. I'm not gonna, yes, I don't use magazines because of the glossy ink. That's not correct here. Where am I?
And someone had asked if there's any glue that's safe to use in making bird toys.
Oh, I use Elmer's glue.
Guess if it's safe for kids to eat, so, in moderation. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. If the kids can eat them, so can the birds. And also I use Elmer's for if I have a crack in a perch, I will fill the crack too.
Interesting.
Let's see. Okay. Do you want to put my video back on?
Yeah. So say, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Oh, now did I have it? It said something to. Yes, there we go. Okay. All right, there's my table. Isn't that lovely? You should have seen it earlier today. Okay, now, I'm not sure. There we go. This is, let me start with this one here. This I made from a book, okay? This is not working as well as I thought it would be. Okay, this was made from a paperback book. And this can be turned into a pretty cool foraging toy. All I did with this is use about a 250-page book, and then you start to fold it in on itself. And also you can make a flat version of this, which, let me pull this over here. Okay.
I love that for a foraging toy, or, hiding things in it. It's a great shreddable, but it's got other possibilities too.
Yeah, yes, and something like this you can put on a seagrass mat and attach it to the side of the cage. You can also fill these parts, where was that there, with shred or hide treats in it. So it's just, it's another use of paper. Here I've taken a book and I put it on a skewer, a kebab, and I've also added, have a piece of loofah here, some cardboard. Here's your egg crate there, or cardboard. There are popsicle sticks, another loofah at the top. So that's a big project for somebody to work on all day. Okay, and also a little foot toy. Here we go. Made this is just loofah and some paper straws, couple pieces of cardboard strung on jute. Very simple and easy to do. Okay, let's see, this one here, this is the first time I've made something like, this was made from this is not as, a lot of my ideas I get from Tess Coley, and she is on the Facebook group, Busy Beaks Do-It-Yourself Bird Toys. She makes beautiful, I mean stunning egg carton toys, which these are supposed to look like flowers, but basically this is on an egg container. I've used zip ties in there. These are napkins, And I've also used loofah in there. This one here has, is another napkin with paper straws, the zip tie. And then I would probably add some more shred to it too before I would give it to them. And then you can put it in the bottom of their cage. You can add some treats to it, or you can attach it to the side of the cage with another zip tie. Again, here's loofah. A piece of loofah alone is a great foot toy. And you can also add, because it's so cellular, you can add tiny seeds in there too. And it will keep them busy. And also look at the arrangement that this is almost sets you up to be, to string things from here. Just, from each hole, you can add, paper rope or something to where this becomes a base, and then you can add more things to it. This here, I just made, this is sort of like an egg carton bell. I've cut all the pieces from the egg carton, and then underneath here is, I'm sorry about the pictures. There underneath, I put a wooden bead, another piece of leather, and actually gives a little noise to it too. Lots of chew activity going on there. And this here is just very, very simple. Again, using your stainless steel kebab. Just a lot of different textures to this. You have cardboard, paper straws, popsicle sticks. Again, and it's just basically patterning. I was a preschool teacher, so I was really, really good at teaching kids to pattern. And so it also reflects in what you make for your birds. Now, this is when you want to get really fancy. Okay. This is a poof, and this is a dyed coffee filter, which was dyed using food coloring. And basically it's about 50 coffee filters, and you dye them. There's a whole process to this, and you can find that on your Busy Beaks do-it-yourself bird toys, but it then gives complete instructions to do that. But this is my fall color poof. The birds, a lot of birds are afraid of these at first, so you want to introduce them on the outside of the cage, or you can just put them on the top. And a lot of times, I mean, they're bouncy, and your bird can use that as a ball toy also. And here's the last one I've done. I'm just learning how to use wire. So this is paper straws again. They're cut in thirds, and I made a sort of a little wreath for this, and just strung them on there. And also your loofah can be dyed. My friend Anjana, we had we had a sleepover, and we made bird toys. Yeah, but it was great because we just shared ideas, and we got creative with making enrichment for our birds. And so she had dyed some loofah hair. And then we also, this is a golf ball, which we filled up with shred. So, I mean, this is just, a portion of things that you can do. So, but that's what I've pulled together for everybody for today. And like I say, it's just the imagination is the only thing. Well, you don't want to see that part. Let me flip the camera back around. But yeah, it's just your imagination is the only thing that stands in our way.
That's great. And of course, I also just want to mention, of course, the golf ball is those wiffle balls, not like the golf balls that aren't wiffle balls.
Correct. Yeah.
I brought one more, and someone also had, a toy that we make pretty regularly here at the Phoenix Landing Adoption Center that I think we got the original idea from Nyla Kopp. And, it is using a beer 6-pack and just stuffing it full of stuff. And you can hang it, but you can use toy parts, you can use shreddables, you can put food down in here. But especially, someone had asked earlier about what if you have a bird that's very nesty, and some people have to be really careful about not giving them enclosed boxes to climb into. And that was one thing that I remember Nyla saying she loved this because it was all these compartments and it wasn't like something that they would climb completely into because of the inserts, but you can just stuff it. And this is really stuffed full of toy parts like shredded paper, for the shreddables, some other, seagrass woven parts. And even that is stuffed with some other things too, like the coin wrappers that Wendy had mentioned earlier. More coin wrappers and toy parts and things in here. Just lots of shreddable, good fun. So I hope that you got some good ideas. I know I always learn a lot. Wendy is so creative and so good at these making these toys, and I value that so much. Always get some good ideas of things as someone who is not crafty, myself. So I am just curious, from this talk, what is one thing that you're going to take away and implement this week? If you could put that in the chat. Give the birds choice and control, peat pots, pine cones, Alexa, radio, more toys, pine cones, gathering pine cones, using the 6-pack, definitely ordering loofahs, baby items, trying a schedule, vertical types of climbing, use more cardboard, excellent, new toys, more people interested in the loofah, adding more perches. Yeah, and so again, if that's something also, if you're looking to, of course, you can take branches outside, and I shared the link earlier of the bird safe trees, but I will add that again. Plants in bird safe trees that you can use as long as it's not sprayed. It's something in your yard, that hasn't been sprayed with anything. You can bring them in from inside, but you can also, if you're not interested, or even in addition to that, you can buy some perches and new toys this week too at either Parrot University or Helping Parrots for 10% off. So do that too, and you do something good for your birds, and it also helps adoptable birds at these organizations.
Absolutely.
Puzzle pieces, yeah, that is a favorite toy part for a lot of birds too.
Yeah, I forgot to show this one.
Yeah.
This is sort of, it's not done yet, but you can start that with a wiffle ball, and you can either use beads or you can add it. But this is, I mean, a lot like your conures and that, they like to get their heads up in there. And that's dreadlocks. But yeah, these are fun too.
That's a cute toy. It made me think of an octopus when I saw it. Yeah. Great, yes, and I'll add the link one more time to the mdvaden.com. They have a page on their site that talks about safe and harmful perch wood and other things. So what
That's
is
a
hanging
great
from the
site.
wiffle ball? Oh, it was what was hanging from the wiffle ball. What were all the materials that were in?
Oh, those are puzzle pieces and just pony beads.
Pony beads. And what do you use to string? What did you use on that one?
I used jute.
Jute wood.
Jute or hemp, yeah.
String.
And then you can also stuff your wiffle ball when you're done with some shred.
Yeah. There's coffee filters, you can shove it in there and that kind
Absolutely, yes. Yeah. Lots of things you can put on that.
Excellent. Well, I want to thank you all again. And for those of you who are, attended, we will make this recording as long as there's no technical snafus and it's saving. We're going to put it online, and we'll send out a link to you so you can watch it again or, share it with friends. And I love the idea, after COVID, or maybe we need to have a Zoom, sleepover party making bird toys. Where different people share bird toys or something, making bird toys together. That just sounds like a lot of fun.
Oh, and it was great, yeah. But you have, everyone should do the Boredom Busters with Robin Chirokis. Yeah, that's a great time to sit around, make bird toys, and talk. And I have one of her boxes over here, and you get your money's worth too. And it's $5 for Phoenix Landing, and then you get a box of great stuff to work with. So
yeah, thank you, Wendy. It's true. If you go to the Phoenix Landing page and then the phoenixlanding.org and events page, you'll see that you can order a Boredom Buster box, and we've got another week that you can order them. And then there's a date in November that we'll have an opening party and talk about how to make toys and stuff with the items. And with that, it is just for U.S. folks because of shipping. But she does, we can go over it together and talk about toy making of all the items. She says every box is unique, which is pretty impressive. No two are exactly alike.
It's very cool. Can I do a shameless plug for CPR? Okay. We are having our second Fun with Food workshop in November. It's the 3rd. I should have that on top of my head. It's the 3rd Sunday in November, 1:00. And I have made up our sprouting kits and a dry mix kit, and you get some handouts in that. You can go to our website, go to signup.com. You can pay for the kit on PayPal. Shipping is extra. It's usually between $7.50, $8.50, depending on parts of the country you are. I start a call 3 days beforehand, so we unpack the box. Or if you come to CPR to pick it up, we unpack it, and then we start our sprout process. And then on the Sunday, we all get together. Oh, you get the shopping list too. And on that Sunday, we get together and go through the whole process of making mash. It's really cool. Thank you.
No problem. And Wendy is the sprouting queen. So she is a great resource on all things sprouting. So yes, if you go to the Boredom Buster boxes, you can go to the Leather Elves website and order those. If you wanted to participate in the Phoenix Landing party, there is a code for that is listed on our Phoenix Landing website so that you get a link to it. Yes, and Companion Parrots Rehome is in Pineville, North Carolina. I see someone had asked about that. So excellent. So I'm so glad that you spent, I know we've run it over, but that's just the thing.
Wow.
Wendy and I both geek out on, enrichment, and I'm glad that you all stayed with us and, also liked talking about all of this with us. And I hope you'll join both of our organizations for other online events. And when we're able to do in person again, someday, that as well. But
I hope to, yeah. I know we've never met each other in person, but we're developing a great friendship here. So I love it. I think it's awesome.
Great. And thank you all for sharing your ideas and insights as well. So, but yes, we have used lots of different puzzle pieces in toys. Puzzle pieces are safe. So fantastic. Thank you all, and have a great rest of your Sunday. We'll see you again soon, I hope. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you.